Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am Atmos, filling in for Scorch as he takes a small break. I'll be joining Aquablad for the next match. We'll be watching. Excuse my voice, by the way. I've been sick. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. We will be watching very shortly ChaeHolic versus happyjo. Both Korean players. Excited to get this going. We are almost to the semifinals. Next, after this game, or this match, I should say, whoever wins this match will be in the semifinals and therefore be guaranteed to be in the third place match or the grand finals. So this is a pretty big deal. Pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big deal for South Korea as well. Two of the players battling it out here for this spot in the third place or grand final match. Lineups. happyjo has a lot of red in his lineup. I think this is anticipation of power that Blue got in the resurgence recently. So maybe he's looking to counter all those blue decks that's hopping around the place.
This is surprising to me. A lot of players have been not favoring red at all. In fact, a lot of players saying red is not very strong right now. happyjo clearly disagrees. Every deck with red, and even ChaeHolic with the red deck down there. Also a strange, must be Garadan down there on the left.
Yeah, Garadan getting splashed into blue jump, blue sevens. They can make room for him. We've seen it before. Not unusual. It looks like red decks are getting banned again. So red decks are being banned, even though, like you said, players are saying red is one of the weaker colors. There must be respect for the red.
Definitely respect. I mean, happyjo with a full red lineup, well, not full red, but mostly red, thinks that a mono red deck is going to be the strongest against his lineup, so he gets it out of the way, and he's going to go with green-red off the bat, probably a Crackthorn type style deck, maybe some Salamanders in there.
Yeah, it depends what he goes for. I see two neutral cards, so I don't think this is going to be a Yakapult version. Crackthorn versions became popular a little recently. Players opt in to go for the more mid-range style that we used to see before the Oversky, and slightly during the Oversky as well. Yakapult being cycled out for a bit more aggression, and it's going to be blue. Blue has picked up a lot of power with this animated banquet. We've seen how strong it is in our recent matches, but if any deck can handle it, it's probably going to be green-red with spiders, Cypher's Rafts, all that good stuff.
Yep, opening up with blue, which, like you're saying, a lot of people think, oh, and he opens with the animated banquet to harvest, which is I actually didn't think about that, using the card as a turn one harvester. I guess there's no risk really for a couple turns until any mountains would come out, but clearly not going to happen. All forest.
If ChaeHolic was second, this would be a risk to the spider, the Deepwood Stalker in hand, but because he was first, he actually can safely do this. Well, actually, no, because he can't Battletoad to protect.
He drew a third Battletoad, so he can't swallow the banquet, and now Deepwood Stalker, yeah, just going to gobble up that animated banquet, that moving meal, I guess it is.
And it's such a big swing for happyjo here, because he's able to deal with one of the problem cards that Blue has access to right now, that reusable campfire, so me and Scorch have been calling it. And to be fair, red green does pretty well against tokens. It has a lot of options. It can use Rakoancopter, the Salamander, Garadan, Cypher's Raft, Spider. So happyjo, I feel, has a good matchup here going forward.
And both players opening up defensively, left and right of their orb, going for the harvesting of both of their own orbs. So clearly going to be a value-based tempo matchup here. Both players going to late game, it's hard to say which deck is going to have the advantage. They both definitely can hold their own. Ground Shaker drawn by happyjo.
I feel that happyjo on paper has the advantage just because of the removal options. Ground Shaker is another card I didn't mention. You can trigger off like 2 Ground Shakers at once and clear Battletoads off the field. There's a lot of Battletoads in hand as well. So if ChaeHolic decided to, drop a lot of creatures down, just try to apply some pressure or make sure he has some stability, he has the risk of playing to Garadan, he has the risk of playing to double Ground Shaker. So it's gonna be a tough matchup. I don't know what the win con here is for ChaeHolic. Is he running Reaver? You know, he's going up to 6 lakes for Goro, so you need to ask yourself that question. Like, why would you push that far into lakes if you're not running something like Dream Reaver as a finisher?
And they're stacking up their ferret a huge amounts, 18 to 14 here. Horsemaster is going to let the warrior come up and clear this toad. Next turn, ChaeHolic can play Fugro, maybe draw some more cards, actually play, fill the board, spend his Ferium. In the meantime, he has to deal with this 5-4 that's threatening his face.
And the guidance is a really smart play here for two reasons. One, it stops the 2-2 from clearing it. But on the flip side, it also counters Aurora because he can follow up with a Ground Shaker. So it's basically like a very good safety net here. Plays around Aurora because the Ground Shaker follow-up and stops this 2-2 from taking care of Zagami Warrior, forcing ChaeHolic to go for a defensive line. Now, we'll probably see maybe a commander go in front of it, and then we could probably see Fugoro go on the left-hand side here. Maybe go for the urn to try and dig deeper to find more options. But like I was saying, double Ground Shaker, good answer, there's 2 life.
I'm really surprised he didn't play either of the commanders before drawing with Fugro, because they would have gotten buffed right there. Both of them would have been buffed if he would have played. And yeah, we see the Reavers. Yep, and we see the Reavers and the Radiance in his deck. So definitely, like you're saying, deep blue style deck with Reaver. And yeah, look at that commander. He's just a 4-2. Could have been a 5-3.
I don't know if happyjo will commit to double Ground Shaker here, mainly because of the positioning. You don't want a Ground Shaker near Orb, but then again, if he is making a read on Dream Reaver, Ground Shaker could be a way to help fight off the Dream Reaver that can dash into those really good positions to finish the game. Might go for like step across Central Mountain right in front of his opponent's Orb, Ground Shaker there, and then be happy with a defensive Ground Shaker. But right now, I don't see much else. It does apply a lot of pressure, and I think that's what happyjo needs to do. He knows that Dream Reaver's coming. He needs to get going before the Dream Reaver becomes a problem.
This feels like a very classic style Crackthorn deck to me from happyjo. I mean, it actually does have Crackthorns in it. We saw it during the Mulligan. I think if you went back, 6 months ago, you might be seeing a deck like this on the.
Yeah, for some reason, players decided Crackthorn was better than Yakapult. I'm not sure why. I don't know what made that decision. Maybe it was the Humbling Visions change. I'm not sure, but maybe the game demands a bit more aggression from Green Red these days, because there are other decks that can be greedier than the Yakapult variant and have maybe better win conditions. And all these little things do affect how competitive players build their deck. They make a read, they think, okay, Crackthorn needs, Green Red needs to be mid-range if I want to play Green Red because of X. And X usually being Yakapult is not a steady enough winning condition versus some of the other things that are coming there. Maybe Beastmaster Green is a bit too much of a threat, being very grindy, and they can't grind it out with the Yakapult, for example. So yeah, Crackthorn making its return after so long.
And we did see the double Ground Shaker last turn, by the way, which did clear that 4-2 commander. So a little bit of a loss there for ChaeHolic. It does have the new Tide Lord in hand, which if you don't know what that card does, you get some of that next to any Triton. And if you do, it gets +1/1. So 6/6 for 5 with jump. Pretty good.
Very good. One of the stronger cards Blue got in this part. Like I think 6 attack is like the dream in the 5-6 Feria range. It just challenges so many things. Ground Shakers, Ciphers, Heralds. There's a lot of Grove Guardians as well. We're starting to see Grove Guardians come back in the green decks. So it does challenge a lot of these cards, and that's really good. And you can set it up now, actually, right in the middle, protecting the Fugoro. So it does have that flexibility of being summoned adjacent. So you can invade your opponent's lands and set up these blocking positions.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. That's a real big... Oh, he doesn't even take advantage of it, though. He's going to let Fugoro fall to a warrior and then, I think, follow up with a frog. But yeah, he could have done that. He could have placed the Tide Lord and Ranger the warrior. It would have put him down to 1. You would have 2 1-health creatures on board afterwards, and there's already been 2 Ground Shakers played, so there is a risk for a third one, or even a Crackthorn or something like that. So I think that was his thinking there.
Garadan would be an amazing draw. A Garadan is like a game-winning draw right now. He can just Garadan, clear mostly everything, hit for 5. Tide Lord has to suicide into the Sagami Warrior, which has already generated so much value on its own. So I wonder if happyjo does go for the draw here and see if he finds it, or maybe needs to develop land in order to set something else up.
Yeah, and he does have the Cypher, and yeah, like you're saying, man, Garadan would be so sweet right now. But only Cypher in hand. Still has not drawn or even used the Power Wheel at all, so we could see something pop up. You know, it's getting to that point in the turn where he's running out of time, so if he's going to draw, he better do it soon. So that tells me he's probably not going to draw, and he already has a line of play in mind.
Yeah, he's already moved his cards before the draw. So it looks like he has an idea of what line he's going to go for. He might just step back with the 5-4, take the collection, clear the 2-2, slam Cypher in the middle, and maybe stick Wood Elemental just below it to protect it. Or at least protect it from some of the threats. It probably won't be able to stop it, the 6-6 going into it. Oh, it didn't take the step back for collection there. Interesting.
Now playing the Cypher there, okay, so he's okay to trade for the Tide Lord to trade into Cypher and go down to one health, but to do that, he would have to kill both or sacrifice both Faguro and the Frog. So yeah, tough choice here for ChaeHolic. He could clear the Warrior, which is a nice value trade, or he could focus on the Cypher. That's basically the choice he needs to make right now.
Double Radiance in the deck for ChaeHolic here. He has the heal variant and the stall variant. He has the golden and the dark, the good and the evil Radiance. Because one of the, I don't know, like Radiance has like a new paint job in the new card. He's all purple. Has he ever been purple on the?
Well, I think it's like nighttime. I think he's storming the skies with his flaming engines, and I think same color, but just nighttime. Could be a paint job.
Daytime Radiance and nighttime Radiance.
Yeah, good Radiance and bad Radiance. Does go for the trade from the Battletoad onto the Warrior there. So nice deal with Cypher. So to do that, he's going to have to move Faguro. And if he leaves Faguro, okay, he's just going to take all of his creatures to 1, which is leaving him in a very vulnerable position, but no Ground Shaker in hand. 2 have already been used.
So now we can take the clear with the 2-4 on the Tide Lord, go for a Deepwood Stalker on the Faguro, and then maybe slam an Axe Grinder in the center. But the neutral tiles from ChaeHolic suggest a Dream Reaver next turn. So one thing that happyjo does have to consider going forward is how does he defend against a Dream Reaver? Is there an enchant? Is there a Ninja Toad finish? By the looks of the deck so far, it's probably going to be Ninja Toad. There hasn't really been any enchant-friendly cards. So the things that happyjo has to consider before making kind of any aggressive lines going forward.
Yeah, and he also has the new Radiance in hand, which he could actually play next turn if he wanted to, which would freeze all his opponent's creatures and have a 10 damage creature next to his opponent's orb and do it that way too. So it's either Dream Reaver or Radiance. It seems like Dream Reaver is the better play to begin with, and you can pop Radiance later and your opponent will be at 10, and that'll be a lethal for you.
Alternatively, you play Radiance first, lock out their creatures from defensive, and then Radiance and then Dream Reaver after, and then hit them for 10. That's probably the way they do it these days.
But yeah, would he have the fairy to do that though is the question. I think like 10 plus 7, 17.
And you can see here that happyjo has decided, actually, I'm going to go for the defensive line now. So stack creatures around the orb. So in case Radiance does come down, he doesn't have that kind of movement lockdown affecting him. They're already in a position where they can
Yeah, and he's just going to pop down some Battletoads, save some Faria. Those Battletoads will allow the Tide Lord to be a 6/6 and maybe deal with that Ground Shaker that's threatening his right side, taking that Faria well. happyjo is triple harvesting, so ooh, there's a grappling hook. Not too great right now. If that Ground Shaker was aligned with the Tide Lord, it'd be a completely different story. That was a good placement by ChaeHolic.
I'm going to have to take a draw here to find some of our options. Like I said, the grappling hook, not great in this situation, unfortunately. He can shimmy all of the creatures around now, so he can still defend his orb. So we can kind of just send like a conga line going back and forth between the wells, making sure that he's protected from the Radiance line, but also collecting off both wells at the bottom. But there is that Battletoad that can challenge the Spider on the follow-up, which I think is inevitable. And I don't think Happy Joe is that bothered. It's just, what do you do now? Like, do you move I can't really even move the Ground Shake out of range of this Tide Lord. It's coming for it.
Yep. That Tide Lord has the Ground Shaker's number. Going to put an offensive Axe Grinder. But look at what ChaeHolic has in his hand versus Happy Joe. I mean, Happy Joe obviously has one card, but there is a lot of beef in ChaeHolic's hand, and even some utility too with Emperor's Command now. He could clear. Let's see. He doesn't even really need to, but he could just take out the Stalker. And not use the Emperor's Command, save that for a better play. Clear off the Ground Shaker. Now he is triple harvesting. The Axe Grinder, he could use the command on that and clear it with his remaining Toad. So this could be a really big swing turn for ChaeHolic.
There's still a lot of Fairy to work with on the follow-up, which would be nice, so we can set up that potential Dream Reaver or Radiance play, depending on what he goes for. But I think ChaeHolic knows that Happy Joe is making the defenses now for the Radiance, so maybe he wants to keep the Emperor's Command so he can slam Radiance down and then Emperor's Command the Spider so it can move in for the damage. But he still needs a lot of Fairy, like you said. You need like 17 to 19 Fairy to make that play.
Playing the Commander, not going for the Stalker clear, and draws an Aurora.
That's a good draw. That changes a lot. That basically allows him to make a full defensive clear and be in a very good position. Actually goes for the Battletoad clear, so going to keep the Aurora to recharge his Tide Lord.
Would you like some tea?
Aurora basically healing Tide Lord up to full with some tea.
And that's respecting Garadan more than anything. Just making sure that Garadan doesn't get a full clear on the backswing. Flame Burst would have been a good option as well for either of them. Takes a draw, doesn't really find anything worthwhile, so we might just see the shimmy to the right here, shift all the creatures along in order to collect off the right side well, and also set up those defenses for a little later.
Yeah, and ChaeHolic at exactly 0 now, so it's really going to be hard to do any kind of Dream Reaver Radiant shenanigans, but one of them could come down next turn specifically. He could get a Dream Reaver going if he goes to 5. No, he'll still be short. He won't be able to double harvest unless that Commander is able to get flying. If it even survives this turn because there's a Flame Burst in hand. Happy Joe, no creatures. He's looking for those Crackthorns. He's looking for presence on board, but all he has is utility and events. So, any play this turn is just going to be to clear his opponent's units. Really.
But decides to actually use it there. But the problem is he puts his Spider in position of the Tide Lord, but this is a little bait here. So he's going to use the Flame Burst on the rest of the Tide Lord once it's hit the Spider.
I wonder if he sees that. I wonder if he uses the Emperor's Command preemptively to put Tide Lord out of Flame Burst range. That would be a heads-up play. Still looking to save up some Fairy. He's only going to be able to harvest from one well this turn, so Happy Joe having the double collection advantage. Definitely anyone's game at this point. And there's an Animated Banquet drawn for ChaeHolic as well, so we could use that as a further buffer against any kind of red removal.
Does he Emperor's Command here? I think Emperor's Command is a really heads-up play. Because if you Emperor's Command the Stalker and clear it, you play around the removal option. But he may not mind it going down here. Maybe he just slams the Banquet, lets it swallow, and then play around Cypher's Wrath rather than playing around Flame Burst.
Yeah, it was one or the other. The command clearly would have been better knowing what Happy Joe has in hand. But he did go with the Banquet. That means he's probably going to get Flame Bursted out, but the Banquet survives. Leaving a little basically a Manta Rider there on board.
Oh, a Bomb Slinger in Crackthorn. That's not something you see every day.
Well, this could be a full board clear right here if he wants to use the Flame Burst on Aurora, and of course, It doesn't seem like a good trade, but it stops that fairy collection. That's pretty significant, especially when you know your opponent has huge cards in their deck that they want to play, huge cost cards.
I guess he Bomb Slingers the 7/3 and then Flame Burst the Banquet. You'll have to leave Aurora, but then you get rid of the reoccurring Campfire, which is probably a bit more crucial to take care of. Right.
Oh, you're completely right. Yeah, I forgot the Mantis.
I forget it's there too. I cleared the creature in my games. Like, oh yeah, there's a 2/2 still in that. I forgot about that one.
Yes, that's a pretty strong play. The Bomb Slinger could be cleared by Aurora afterwards, but you're still in a pretty good position. You can play every single card in your hand right now. The Warrior, I don't see why not. Put him up in the harvesting position, upper left. You're good.
And Bomb Slinger did fall out of fashion for some time because of Spirit Theft, since it's one of the best Spirit Theft targets in the game. And people were playing Firebomb over it, but since blue and green are kind of like the new kids on the block in terms of cards, maybe happyjo felt that yellow wouldn't get a massive representation and goes for the Bomb Slinger.
Oh my gosh. Did he run out of time there, or did he not want to clear both? I'm thinking he ran out of time, not dropping the Bomb Slinger to clear the Banquet. Maybe he doesn't consider it that much of a threat. Maybe he just want to save it, for something beefier. But now here comes Dream Reaper.
Oh, dreams will be made for ChaeHolic, and slowly but surely happyjo has been losing this game, and this just starts to get a bit difficult. I guess the Bomb Slinger, you saved the Bomb Slinger here to kill the Dream Reaver, right? Maybe that was his fault, because you can kill the Dream Reaver with the Axe Grinder, the 2/1, Bomb Slinger it, then Crackthorn now as well. So he has a pretty good follow-up play once he kills this Dream Reaver.
Yeah, that must have been his thought there, and expecting, looking at the fairy accounts and expecting something like a Dream Reaper to come down. So saving that for the defensive play, I think you're right there. There's also a Leia, or Lai, however you like to pronounce her name, as well. And she can deal with big, beefy creatures very well.
And Leia also offers a good defensive option if something like a big Radiance came. We do see Bomb Slinger just cleaning up this Dream Reaver, and then probably a Crackthorn.
I wonder if he Crackthorns, or I wonder if he plays defensive Leia. I don't think you need to be defensive, right? Okay, yep, just going for the Crackthorn, and does not get the second hit on the Banquet. So a little bit unlucky there, but still beefing up your units, putting yourself in harvesting position, you're good to go.
Yep, Quad Collection definitely on the cards next turn. And going for the Crackthorn's a little better than Leia, because Leia, I think you want to play Leia on the Radiance turn. So you move all your creatures back in defensively next turn to surround your orb, and then you slam Leia down. So then if your opponent does have enough Fairy to play Radiance, so they do go for that line, she's set up ready. I think that's what he was looking at there, going for Crackthorn. And if he did get the clear on the Banquet, it was just a dream come true.
Yep, that would have been icing on the cake. ChaeHolic, though, still does have a chance to come back, but he is facing going down to 10 health this turn. And man, just nothing dropped from ChaeHolic. He didn't even play a Leia last turn, which is a little surprising to me.
He's saving up for the Radiance. I think he's hoping that Radiance will win the game here. Goes for the Scourge, locks out its opponent, but I think happyjo's just too aware of it. He can just push his two creatures from the bottom down, slam Leia in the middle as well. He has perfect defensive options. They can't attack, but ChaeHolic will still need something to get through them. So like he'd need like a Ninja Toe to kill the Bomb Slinger, so Radiance can move in for that lethal. So very like situational here. Moving on to the Lake is also very strong here. Just making ChaeHolic play lands. Because now he needs to +1 play Radiance, but he can't because Bomb Slinger's sitting on that lake.
And Library drawn way late in the game. The Leia played defensively from happyjo, so that just looks worse and worse the more you think about it. He's at 10 health. There's lethal on board if he does not block, if he does not clear something. Emperor's Command, I think, is going to maybe take care of the Crackthorn. Dropping the Library, probably not expecting. Oh, you didn't get the heal, okay. Probably not expecting. Do you think he clears the Library here?
Yeah, I think you clear the Library, and then you just push the damage. Or maybe you don't. Maybe only push 4 damage, leaving him on 10. So he has to spend all his Furia on the heal Radiance. And now the defensive creatures are fine now. They're in a position where
Oh no, he doesn't, because he just wins with Flame Burst. Yeah, because the library is actually lethal.
I wasn't even looking at the flame. I was just looking at ChaeHolic's hand there. But yeah, there we go. So happyjo, even though he was held off really well by ChaeHolic, the clever defensive lines to play around the Scourge of the Oversky allowed him to win there. So his presence of mind definitely carrying him through that match.
Yeah, well done. One game up now. One deck gone, and that is the blue deck for ChaeHolic, and he'll be switching to what looks like a sacrifice deck versus this Crackthorn. It could be sacrifice. I just said it because you see the Shield Knights there, but there are actually a couple of different ways to build green-yellow. We've seen some swordfish style, buffy green-yellow styles before.
Yeah, Amoeba played a green-yellow mid-range in the halftime tournament, which was a new deck for us to see. So I doubt it's going to be that, simply because I think the Shield Mates do kind of indicate it's going to be sacrifice. They're more of a sacrifice card in green-yellow, at least. And then there we go. Soul Eater's coming to hand a little too early. But looking at happyjo's hand, it's not that much better. The only good thing is he has Garadan ready, so he has that locked and loaded, ready to drop when he needs to.
And ChaeHolic does have a card up his sleeve. There's a hidden card there. I don't know if you caught it, but or those who are watching on stream. But there's another card in there that he has. We don't know what it is, but place your bets on what that hidden third card is. I guess it'll be, well, fifth card.
So we have Eridan picked up here. Can go for the Bloom Sprite, explore Eridan if he wants to split off.
Early Eridan, always what you want when you're playing that card. The earlier you get him out, the more value you're going to have over time. And definitely in this matchup, you could go quite a long time. So that could be a big threat for happyjo, and he'll have to close it out pretty quickly once he sees that Eridan come down. And once he clears the Eridan, keep in mind, happyjo has control of when that Eridan is destroyed most of the time.
I like the respect here ChaeHolic has for Garadan, just not dropping Eridan or Spirit of Rebirth. I guess you'd rather just Eridan to trigger first before you play Spirit, and then Spirit is safe from those flame bursts and stuff like that. We see double neutral, so I think happyjo is gearing up for an aggressive Ground Shaker next turn.
I think he recognizes that this sack deck in the late game is going to totally outscale him with Soul Eaters, and of course the Eridan as well. So I think this is a great play from happyjo, a great decision, really, to go on the aggressive side of things and just put pressure on him, force him to put things down, then clear those things, and then put more things down.
And looking to play a defensive forest right next to that neutral, just trying to make sure those aggressive lands can't get close. And this is going to be our Ground Shaker turn, from what I can see. Might consider Flame Burst in Eridan as well, just to make sure that Eridan can't get anything going on the Ground Shaker, just retaining its life. Oh no, is he going to double neutral? He might just double neutral now towards the, yeah, so he's really valuing land as aggressive as possible.
Yes, he is. And this Eridan, really, you could consider it to be sort of a Garadan insurance. If happyjo does pop his Garadan, that's going to trigger what ChaeHolic wants, which is the Eridan last words. And yeah, look at this land. Look at this land placement. ChaeHolic trying to figure out how he's going to defend against this. He has to, or he doesn't have to, but you want to put a desert down as a sacrifice player. You want to get up to the 3/3. So okay, finally using his Explorer, locking him out as best he can, which is I think that's a really, really nice play. Now, does happyjo push it even further and go 2 more neutrals? I think at this point it might be pushing it, because you're not going to get that last place.
Yeah, I think you'll have to just settle for the neutral land where Eridan is played. I'm going to see no forest come down. So gearing up for a Spider. Spider's going to eat up the Bloom Sprite. And then that's just going to pass. So even though happyjo has to be the aggressor in this match, he is still playing very slow.
I think I just saw what the hidden card was, because I believe I saw another Soul Eater get buffed in hand. I think that's 2 Soul Eaters for ChaeHolic. I think I caught that out of the corner. And yeah, Feria Tree from the Bloom Sprite.
Could be relevant. And not against Ground Shaker. I guess in some other matchups it would be pretty decent for a 0-cost Feria Tree, because your opponent would just have to respect.
Yeah, I mean, you could use it to just bait out the ground shaker. Say, okay, if you have ground shaker, play it now to clear my tree, or it's going to be harder and harder. So, bait out the ground
I
shakers.
like the bait, but I don't like playing the Elder into the bait. Like, I think the bait is kind of negated if he gets to kill a creature as well. It's just me.
No, yep, I agree with that. It does buff up the Soul Eaters a little bit more, so we could put down. Oh, they're only 3/3s, so probably want to hang on to those. Yeah, ChaeHolic really hasn't played a lot of creatures this game, knowing what he's playing against. So Soul Eater is not going to be useful, and I think that's all 3 in his hand now, and that's not what he wants. He needs some fodder. Wind Soldier will help.
Well, at least he has them when he needs them, right? If he ever gets to that point, he's going to be able to just drop Soul Eater after Soul Eater, and that will do it against Green Red. There's not a lot that Green Red can do against Soul Eater once they get to. So this might be the Garadan turn, I think, now that we've seen this Rakoing come down. He may strongly consider clearing out the 2/2, then Garadan. No,
Ooh.
definitely no. Spirit Rebirth has come down, so Garadan is going to get a nice meal and eat up all these creatures.
Yeah, now is the time. You could put your ground shaker in the offensive position, even Garadan as well. You might even be threatening lethal, I think, after the clear. And yeah, so Aerodon will buff, the creatures in your deck, but at this point you're at a place where you can be aggressive and just finish the game before really too much value happens.
I mean, ultimately, he could just Fairy a dump. He could move up, clear the 2/2, Garadan, clear the board, make another mountain, then crack Fawn to the orb, and just crack from the forest opposite the spirit and get right next to his orb. He has a 6/6 going to the orb. He has a crack Fawn at whatever stat line it'll be at, and then he has a 7/8. So it just forces a lot of responses from ChaeHolic, and although his Soul Eaters will be buffed, it may force him to drop them as defensive cards. They're going to go for Crack Fawn here instead. Okay.
That'll be 7/7 Soul Eaters.
Yep, loads of buffs flying around the place.
It's going crazy. The hands are just flashing everywhere.
Oh, I see. This is really nice. So getting that 7 damage now, just saying, I have lethal 100% with the Horsemaster, not going for the Crack Fawn line. And now we have a beefy hand. Like these Soul Eaters are at a reasonable size now. They can kind of fend off. And Spider plus Wind Soldier is not enough to kill Ground Shaker, unfortunately.
No, and a Flame Burst in hand, so you gotta think that ChaeHolic's at 9 health. So Happy Joe's only looking to do 9 damage, and he'll win the game.
Wait, is he gambling here? Is he a gambling man?
Well, he does have the Deepwood Stalker here. Let's see. What is he thinking? He is going to gamble.
Yeah, he needs a +1 to kill the Ground Shaker. So it looks like he's going for the gamble here. He can play one Soul Eater. So he can actually play a Soul Eater and a Shield Mate, and then go for the hit, and then see. Then he has a 1 in 3. Wow,
oh my gosh,
this is definitely a gamble.
I can't believe he chose that. But I mean, hey, if it lands, it's going to be great.
This might just be the winning line in ChaeHolic's mind.
Oh, he got the Stalker.
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it. He knew it was going to happen.
That's insane. That is insane. I don't know why you... I guess in ChaeHolic's mind, this is the only way he wins. I don't see why you do this unless he believes this is the only way he wins. I guess he just respects Flame Burst so much.
You truly believe in the heart of the cards if you make a play like that. It's paid off. Look how far ahead he is now. He's got, in his hand, he's got gigantic Soul Eaters left to play and follow. But this Garadan's out of range of the orb, not able to hit. So he's just have to continue to try to do some value trading here, which he can do. But the Spirit of Rebirth is untouchable. The Shield Mates is going to drop something behind, so things are going to continue to be buffed in ChaeHolic's hand. Every turn he'll drop a Soul Eater, and they'll just keep growing and growing. And Happy Joe doesn't really have a way to deal with continuous back-to-back Soul Eaters.
Yeah, this is just going to win the game, I think, for ChaeHolic now. One thing to note that Scorch has just pointed out, both players spent exactly 16 Failure each on their previous turns, and both ended up with 0 Failure at the end of it, making massive plays.
There's a graph of Failure gained and Failure spent over the entire match. That is a huge spike in that turn. And yeah, we're seeing the results of it. Another Soul Eater coming down. What does Happy Joe have to deal with this? I mean, there's a 17-17 in the field. That's going to take a lot of bomb slingers.
This could be a misstep from ChaeHolic. The spider goes into the 8-2, and then you crack Fawn from the forest on the left-hand side straight up to the orb, and that puts it out of reach of the Soul Eater. Now, if all the power-ups go onto Crack Fawn, which could be unlikely, or at least some of the pings go away, he can set up lethal potentially with a follow-up Crack Fawn, empowering the Crack Fawn that has already been played. And I think that's probably... Oh, is he going to go for the Sagami instead? Okay, I think Crack Fawn is potentially a little bit better there. It offers a bit of chip damage, maybe a more powerful creature on the follow-up. I guess he still thinks ChaeHolic has to play defensively, so he has time to set up Sagami.
I'm really surprised he left the door open there for that 8-2 to let the spider in. I have to wonder what his line of thinking was. He really did not want that spider to move up and threaten the orb, I suppose, but didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. Now he lost that 8-2 that could be defending, could have cleared, whatever went on the left side here. But yeah, like you're saying, now there's actually potential for some kind of lethal in a couple turns here.
I think the issue is now, the reason I feel the Crackthorn line was better than Sagami, simply because the Crackthorn's likelihood of pinging the orb was higher, and it represented more damage. It was a bit of a dice roll, a gamble, but ChaeHolic had good luck. I'm surprised. I'm sure Happy Joe would have had a good luck in returning, karma and all that, and he could return. Actually, I put more damage this turn, but now there's 2 Soul Eaters. I'm not entirely sure how he deals with it. I guess he has the other Sagami Warrior, which is quite helpful. See, all those pings went to Soul Eaters. He had a much higher chance of those pings go into the orb and representing more damage.
I have to agree with you, and both of these creatures can be cleared now by both Soul Eaters, but keep in mind also 17 damage to face is a possibility of Happy Joe next turn too. There's just no follow-up to finish it, so defending it might have to take priority. Ooh, is he going to have... Okay, so he's only able to clear 2 of these, and then 3 damage is left behind, but there's no out-of-hand damage from Happy Joe other than another Crackthorn. He could get lucky with it.
I think he just win soldier the 3-4 here.
You just win. That's lethal. You move the Soul Eater up, make a desert, and you get lethal.
Yep, you just get lethal. So yeah, hit face for 17, win soldier the face. Yeah, that's even better than clearing creatures. Let's see if he's...
he misses.
He doesn't see it. And it's, it's easy in this game to tunnel vision defense, I think, as a player.
It really is.
Because Faria, there's so many different decisions you can make. There's so many different lines. There's a lot of micromanagement. And it can be hard sometimes to see the obvious line because your options are so vast. And I think this is just a case. This is not ChaeHolic being a bad player. This is just him having a lot to think about, or just a lot on his mind from how the game has gone on. He's just been fighting for his life for the last 3 turns.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall victim to that mindset, like you're saying. Like your brain is constantly calculating, okay, how do I defend myself and not die? How do I defend myself and not die? It's easy to forget, just like, oh wait, I can just instantly win. Especially with Soul Eaters who can just cover the whole board. You often forget that yourself.
But ChaeHolic's still in a very good position to win the game here. He has these big meaty Soul Eaters. Green-Red doesn't deal with them very well. It's just not an easy thing for Green-Red to do. And Happy Joe has used 2 Flame Bursts from what I recall. So it's not like he has a lot of damage from hand going forward. So ChaeHolic's still in a good spot.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to take everything Happy Joe has to clear through these Soul Eaters, and even then, he's just trying to sneak in some damage. I've lost track of how many Flame Bursts he's played, but he's gonna have to win through some kind of sneaky shenanigans. Lucky Crackthorn?
What's he gonna do? Doesn't even hit the orb once. Saddest time.
Yeah, definitely. It'd take it to 6. That's when you get into double flame burst range. I don't think he has 2 left though, but that would have been something. But yeah, just not quite enough. This Crackthorn's gonna be cleared any number of ways.
The one issue ChaeHolic might run into going forward is that his Soul Eaters can die now. They're kind of in the reach. The 1711's still a bit too healthy for happyjo to clear efficiently, but the Bomb Slinger actually does represent a way to deal with them. Like if let's say the 14-7 goes face this turn, it dies to the Axe Grinder and the Bomb Slinger. And the 1711 Soul Eater, even if it's difficult because the 1711 Soul Eater probably wants the Spirit to live so it gets value. So this actually could be an opportunity for happyjo to turn this around.
If these Soul Eaters fall, yeah, I mean, like you're saying, that is the win condition right there. That is ChaeHolic's win condition. So, and yep, he's using up the health on one of them. So it's definitely, if ChaeHolic doesn't go to finish this, doesn't reach to finish this, that's a real possibility.
Now, ChaeHolic could do something a little controversial here and just turtle up and wait until he draws mobility. Oh no, that's not what Green-Red wants to see.
No, that's from a Bloom Sprite, a Bloom Sprited Runin.
As a big fan of Green-Red and someone who plays Green-Red, well, not recently, but has played Green-Red a lot, I hate Runin in this matchup because Green-Red has no answer to this. There is no. You literally have to just win before Runin gets big. So if you clear Runin once and it comes down to 6-6, it's pretty much game over from there. But it looks like happyjo is going to throw in the towel there, knowing that Runin probably just he just can't deal with it. So one apiece going forward.
If ChaeHolic's not going to take the lethal, happyjo's just going to give it to him. He saw there was no way forward for him. And this sack deck will play against happyjo's second deck of the game. His options are red or red-blue.
I have a cheeky feeling that this red deck is a red rush deck because it has so many neutral cards. They must be
low cost too, yeah.
It must be Maceman or they're Master Swordsman and he's playing angry. And he's going to queue it up, so we're going to find out. And I think this could be a good pick, depending on how he's built it. Now, we've seen Lizard use Barracks. I don't think the Barracks version is going to have a great matchup against Green Yellow Sack, but if he's going for a more traditional variant with Flame Bursts and Cypher's Wraths, he could be in a good time here, especially with the Queen's Guard as an opener. Queen's Guard is such an amazing opener for red. And it's a Gift of Steel. I haven't seen this card in ages.
He tossed away the Face Man, kept the Queen's Guard, drew a gift, which is a great opener if he can get that off. Surprising that he tossed away the Maceman though, to me, and a Flame Burst as well.
He just knew he was going to draw a gift, and he had queens, and it's just like, yeah, I'll draw a Gift of Steel and make my life really good.
Yeah,
so now
make it easy on myself.
He can go Mountain here, double neutral explore Queen's Guard, or he can double neutral explore Mountain Queen's Guard, which is a little better because you put an aggressive mountain close to your opponent's orb. He was hovering over the mountain for central, but did decide against it. So his opening play is just insane because it's basically a 3-6. If you can't answer the 3-6, this 3-6 becomes a 6-9. Green Arrow Sacrifice doesn't have an answer to that unless they have an early assassin or they run Nightmare. But again, those cards are really slow. And red has very good ways to deal with assassin. So this Queen's Gift in Red Rush is just a very difficult thing to deal with.
And I wonder, he has to expect what might be coming. You should expect something like a Queen's Guard to drop. So yeah, dropping some creatures down, that's, the problem here is there's no beef. There's nothing to deal with early drop creatures in this hand. And yeah, I think like you're saying, like his deck really, Shaitan Assassins, that's where putting them in your Green Yellow Sack deck, it's where they shine.
Actually goes for the mount. It doesn't go for the mountain here. I actually liked mountain. I guess he does open up a block. Don't Emperor's Command here. No, don't do it. Save it for an assassin, just in case an assassin shows.
You're right. Maybe he knows though after playing that there might not be one coming. But yeah, what that does is it stops the fairy again. He's taunted away, so he can't do anything but just trade in here. Hopefully he draws something.
Guidance is a really good pickup.
Yeah.
Not so much for the heal, but for the power up. It just gives him a way to at least challenge a Queen's Guard. I do feel that a mountain should have come down. I don't know. I feel that he missed the opportunity to just have a 6/9 that generates Inferior, smack the orb constantly. Now he can't kill this Bone Collector. He could kill this Bone Collector now if he had that.
You're right. Now the line of play seems to be play another Queen's Guard almost, because if you smack the face and then summon it, you can then +1 and play another Queen's Guard, which means you don't make a mountain again. So that's tough, because what's your play after that? Like you're saying, you have to get up to that 2 mountain threshold when you're playing a deck like this. And yeah, so he's going to go for that mountain, which means he can't do anything this turn, but setting up for the next.
What does kind of work out here is the fact that he does get to shimmy to the right here, move out of the Bone Collector's reach. A missed opportunity with the guidance, I think, from ChaeHolic, because he could have guidance this turn, killed the Queen's Guard with the spider. So that was also an option if he kept the guidance available.
Yeah, preemptively playing it there kind of limited his options. Does smack in to buff both Bone Collectors and the Demon Wrangler on the follow to buff him even further. Now this Queen's Guard his life is threatened.
Yeah, Queen's Guard not as threatening as it could have been following a double neutral line. I'm not sure if the mountain line would have changed anything. It's very hard to say. The Bone Collectors did snowball quite quickly, but he does get to punch for 6 this turn at least. And then he can set up a Brigand behind, or he could just wait, hit the face first, and then set up the Queen's Guard.
Oh, if some kind of sacrifice card is drawn, the Bone Collector can just clear that Queen's Guard, and the Demon Wing clear the Brigand, and happyjo's in a terrible spot. But he doesn't have a way to do that as is. Well, okay, I guess it's not going to happen anyway, because he has to trade in the Demon Wing. And then I guess the Stalker into the Queen's Guard, right? And then Brigand loose. I guess that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, just going to stalk the Queen's Guard, like you said. Put the Demon Wing into it. Give 2 power-ups to the Bone Collectors. And these Bone Collectors are already at a state where Red Rush can't really deal with them. So this could be an early win for ChaeHolic. Wow, it's just... It was tough. It was a tough one. Like, the lack of mountain stopped a lot of options with that gift. You know, it could have maybe killed the Bone Collector, but these Bone Collectors are now pretty tough. I guess the one consolation is that ChaeHolic's at 11. if he does pick up another gift, or maybe some a flame burst or 2, he can just burst him down.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, at this point, these Bone Collectors are out of control. There's no way happyjo is going to trade them out at this point. Lost, that chance is long gone. So I think the only option is go for face and pray. You might even want to draw. Maybe he draws another Gift of Steel. That would even help that. He's got things like Grim Guards with an Exalted Ogre. That's not too bad. But there's a 7/10 Bone Collector right there.
You can drop Queen's Guard in the where he's going to drop it now. It taunts up the 7/10 and the 4/10, 4/7. The 4/7 can't clear it, so the 7/10 has to go into it, and the Bone Collector is actually in a bit of an awkward position. And then I would have actually liked Exalted Ogre there to just drop a 7/7 down and say, yeah, I'm just going to go orb this turn. But yeah,
if you go that line, yeah, why not play the Ogre? That could be setting up for lethal if you just even play your Grimguard after that. ChaeHolic has no way to deal with, he couldn't have cleared the Queen's Guard here and then cleared that 7/7. I'm really surprised that we didn't see the Ogre come down. If not then, when?
The Ogre sets up lethal with Cypher's Wrath. It sets up lethal with Gift of Steel, Flame Burst. It was definitely, I think, the winning line. Now it's a bit awkward because the Brigand is not in a position to really do anything. And if he wants to push 5, he has to build a land, which doesn't... I guess he would have to do that anyway. I guess he could just run the Brigand into the Bone Collector if he wants to find... Oh, wow. Daring Adventurer. That's all I can see. It is a great card. It's a great card in these kind of... In this matchup, it definitely shines because Greeno Sacrifice just floods, right? And against all the frogs that are showing up now, Daring Adventurer might just be a good call.
Yeah, I mean, happyjo, I feel like he would have had this game clinched for sure if he would have just played that Exalted Ogre at this point. Even looking at the board, you see these giant Bone Collectors on defending everything, like, oh, how am I going to get past that? There was just an opportunity there to put him, like you're saying, Cypher's Wrath Ranger or Grimguard. We do know, ChaeHolic has some guidances in his deck. He's used one, so... Or no, that was drawn from a Bloom's Fright, wasn't it? So, yeah. He doesn't have healing, does he?
I think Happy Joe's still going to win this game. I don't really see a way that ChaeHolic comes back. He's taken too much damage. So even though the Bone Collectors, to me at first, seemed threatening, as time has gone on, that little bit of damage he's pushed every now and then has added up and putting him in that kind of damage from hand range. He can still make a land and then hit for 5 and then drop a Grimguard behind or drop an Exalted Ogre behind. So he has that option. I think Grimguard's better because, again, it sets up for that Cypher's Wrath into Flame Burst lethal range with the combat trigger. So it's looking pretty bleak for ChaeHolic here.
Oh, another Soul Eater that's not really... Well, I guess... I wonder what your other options are. What taunts do you have to deal with anything? You need healing, really, to come back from this. You need mobility as well to just get to your opponent and start finishing the game that way and just racing him. But this is looking actually pretty grim now, which is surprising to me because a few turns ago when those Bone Collectors were just giant and everything was being clear, I was like, wow, what's he going to do now? But look, he's in a position to win the game. And next turn.
I have to pay credit to Happy Joe's land placement. I guess ultimately, if he hadn't a double neutral, he wouldn't be in the position where ChaeHolic couldn't get creatures to the right-hand side to start blocking and clearing a bit more effectively. His aggressive push onto the right has just made life very difficult. And I think that's the problem, right? And there we go. Scoops does take a win, and it was the aggressive lands that took it for Happy Joe. So well played to him there, even though I kind of fancied the Gift of Steel line. I still think that Happy Joe's line was very good because it just gave him that land opportunity to stop the blocks.
Yeah, he set himself up with his lands. That game was all about the land placement for Happy Joe. He did it, he executed his plan perfectly. There are a couple things, I thought, the Exalted Ogre should have came out that one turn as well, but in the end, it didn't matter. He set himself up to a place where he's just able to chip him down and make the win guaranteed. ChaeHolic now on his last deck, and it's going to be a blue deck with a spicy little red card in there, like we mentioned earlier. Probably a Garrodan.
It's just, how does this line up against Red Rush? I haven't seen Red Rush versus the new blue jump we have, the Triton subtype synergy. And we did see, Blue Jump go against Yellow Rush earlier, even though it was very unconventional Yellow Rush. Blue Jump wasn't able to take it. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Both hands looking a bit shaky there. Going to keep the Triton Warrior. Does get a Face Man. That's pretty good. Start things off.
And there it is, Garrodan confirmed in the open hand even for ChaeHolic. I wonder if he has things like Aurora's Creation to duplicate Garrodan, and maybe just running him.
Just running him as a counterplay to the other jump decks, more than likely. I think ChaeHolic has the opportunity to banquet this turn because there's not going to be a mountain, or there's not going to be a Cypher's Wrath anytime soon. And then he can collect with the banquet, explore into another lake, play the warrior, then the warrior becomes a 5/5. And he hasn't seen Mace Man yet, but we know that Mace Man wouldn't be quite enough. But there we go. Queensguard makes its return.
This is the opening you always want with this type of deck. Turn 2 Queensguard. Very little can deal with it. Aurora is in hand, but 3 lakes, so it's going to be another turn before any of that can happen. Happy Joe has to make the decision to clear the banquet. Well, what would be funny is, I guess after Aurora buffs the banquet, and banquet clears something, then Aurora swallows the banquet afterwards, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if it's next to it. That's pretty good for Aurora. Give her a little bit of give meat on her bones, so she can fight off people.
That's a huge banquet. That's a big meal.
Aurora is actually one of the cards Blue has available to stop the early Queensguard nonsense. And there has been a lot of games I've seen in the past where Aurora is the decider of whether Red has enough steam in the early game to keep pushing, because you can just clean out a Queensguard so clean. And a Red needs the Flame Burst follow-ups and stuff. Luckily, Happy Joe is running the removal version instead of the Lizard barracks version, so he does have access to removal. But if this was the barracks version, that could just be a win straight there. Aurora's just like, yeah, what are you going to do now? Have a 6-3 to clear next threat. You're never going to have enough area or enough resources to get ahead of like Battletoads and more Tritons and stuff like that.
Well, okay, so he's going for the Emperor's. Oh, he hits in. I was wondering, is he gonna hit in or just, use the command and save your Queen's Guard? But now, well, I guess with Aurora anyway, that would have been a bad move. So he does hit in, and now I guess we see the Aurora, unless he just wants to trade and then do the whole swallow the Aurora buff then swallow thing.
Yeah, I think you definitely Aurora in this situation. Actually, I think Happy Joe has set up a better Aurora in this case because he had to use an Emperor's command to set up whatever Cypher's Wrath play was going to come up. I think it was either cleared and I Cypher's Wrath the Banquet, but now you can play Aurora, like you said, and then swallow the Banquet with Aurora, and then Cypher's Wrath has to kill Aurora and the Banquet still lives. So a good situation for ChaeHolic.
It does leave you, though, with just a 2/2 Aurora, right? So your board is going to be weak until she, I guess, regurgitates your last token there. That's going to be the real beef that you want. So, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting dynamic there with how Aurora works with Banquet and what you like to do there. But I think you just... Oh, can you even do it now because you played... Oh, you can hop over and still play Aurora. Okay, good. Yeah, I think just the Aurora onto the Warrior this turn is overall going to be the best play.
So now Happy Joe's in a situation where he needs Flame Burst. Flame Burst is actually pretty decent because he can Flame Burst the Warrior, then Cypher's Wrath the Banquet. So he'd be in a good situation of taking care of both those problems. But no, what does he play? Without a Flame Burst, he doesn't have a really good line because anything he plays just dies to the Triton Warrior.
Something I don't think we talked about enough last turn was the use of that Sunken Tower to push the land back, and how ChaeHolic is completely, in contrast to the last game, just taking control of the land next to his orb and making it so Happy Joe doesn't have that highway into his face next to a fairy well. And I think there's a really good use of Sunken.
Yeah, Sunken Tower is actually really good again in the situation because he can jump across, clear the Axe Grinder, and then push the mountain back and then double neutral into that kind of arrowhead position. And then ChaeHolic's only aggressive land going into the next turn is right in the center. And then that will prove some problems. And see, we're seeing it here. So he's making sure he doesn't get access to those well spots.
Yeah, that's devastating for Red Neutral Rush. And now the Banquet comes down, it's passed on. Ooh, under the Triton Warrior, it tastes like the mouth of the other one's just covered in saliva, but he swallows it up still, and now there's a 5/5 defending the orb. And
then Faceman doesn't challenge it anymore.
Nope.
It's a tough situation because you play Maceman, and then you have the Cypher's Wrath follow-up, sure, but then the Banquet lives again. The Banquet's back, and it's going to get swallowed by another frog, and the Saliva Train is going to carry.
It's so nasty. Just sloppy seconds on that. It's gonna be sloppy thirds eventually on that meal. Who would want to eat that? But they don't care. The frogs don't care. They'll eat it.
So for ChaeHolic here, he's gonna +1. You jump across, you clear. So he's jumping onto a mountain here, just making Happy Joe's decisions a little more awkward. So now if Happy Joe spends the turn Cypher's Wrath and he doesn't do anything else, he allows ChaeHolic to double collect, and then one of these frogs becomes a 3/3. That's a big problem for Happy Joe.
Yeah, just using that Cypher. He doesn't really have, like you're saying, doesn't have a lot of options here. And I think the big thing is just the land blocking. Like, it limits his options so much. He's never going to get, or probably will never get, land next to the opponent's wells and next to the face, which is really what you want as this deck. So it's just the time, the clock is ticking. The longer this goes on, the more he's double harvesting, the more you're just pushed out of the game.
I'm going to set up an aggressive lake next turn, I feel, for a Phantasm. So looking at Happy Joe's line now, he can go into +1, so he could go like Grimguard +1 Brigands. Actually decides has to take a mountain in the middle to get a central Grimguard. So now this is probably just game. Like ChaeHolic just basically just makes a lake either on the well at the bottom left or in front of the orb. He then goes for the Phantasm on the 2/2, clears the Grimguard, and sets up Tri-Collection for the next turn.
Wisely, all this time, been pushing forward to his opponent, making it so he can eventually win the game, finish the game. And yeah, like you're saying, there goes the guard. He's only at 14, no big deal, no threats that he's worried about. Ogre, not going to be a 7/7 anytime soon. He's got a Brigand he can play that he can't even buff with Gift of Steel right away. So, man, it's going to be tough for him to come back from this. Happy Joe's Rush just didn't work out this time.
And the Sunken Tower played a massive role in controlling the options that Happy Joe had. He pushed the mountains away from the center. So that turn, Happy Joe didn't really have the luxury of going, say, +1 into Brigand Grimguard. And it didn't even work out that well because the Phantasm play was just so strong. And this is it. It's just like play the Brigand, like hope for the best. You can use the Sunken Tower now to push the Phantasm into the orb. Gonna go for a mountain. So probably just gonna go for the Garadan, or at least wait for a Garadan. Could even push a Colossus down this turn, clear the Brigand. It's looking like it's lights out for this Red Rush deck.
Yeah, Colossus, it's 7 cost for 7/7, but that's worth it. You're gonna basically win your opponent through the race while he's just trying to do any damage he can to your face. So I don't think Colossus is bad here at all. Yep, he has only harvested once this game. So I think Happy Joe has to draw a miracle here.
Happy Joe happy to keep playing, at least. Yeah. I guess he wants to see what else this blue deck has in store for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just enjoying Faria. He's just enjoying the game of Faria, and he just wants to play it out the whole way. But yeah, more likely, I think he'd like to see what cards come out. Next turn will be lethal. In any number of ways for ChaeHolic. Here comes a Commander as well, and Archon to seal the deal. I think there's almost nothing Happy Joe can do to survive another round.
Yep, that's going to be game over. Tying up Series 2-2. Happy Joe not really having the gas he needs to push any damage at all, or even threaten this massive board developed by ChaeHolic. And one observation I've made during this game, it's very, very Gabrian driven again. We see commanders, we see archons, tritons. So even though there were the options of saying like the tacticians and maybe the tide lords, it looks like ChaeHolic's build has gone more for that 7s route. It still has the Triton warriors, has the Battletoads and stuff, but with the Phantasm in and the Wave Crash Colossus and the Garadan, definitely benefits from the 7s build.
Yep, I think we are going to go to game 5 in this best of 5. So tied up 2-2, ChaeHolic taking game number 4, and this is the final game of the match. Winner will move on to the semifinals. It is down to 2 decks. There's no choice for any player to make. In the Crucible format, they have 1 deck remaining to play. So it will be the blue deck that we just saw versus, I'm not quite sure what Happy Joe had left. Oh, it's the red-blue. So it could be a greed type deck, or there's actually a number of ways to play red-blue.
Maybe it's the Beast version S of Dawn created. I think that deck's really solid. Like from when I played it, I haven't seen it much, to be honest. I think S is the only person that's played it. Oh, he's playing the Rakoan deck that Amoeba came up with. Blue-red Rakoan.
I thought that was Minokaro. I thought, at least the version I've seen, where it's like blue-red mobility, is the one that I'm familiar with. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, yeah, it does look like to be that sort of mid-range blue-red deck, which is not going to have any greed style cards in it, and it's just going to be, it's going to move its lands around a lot, dash around, and just be really strong in mid-range.
Yeah, Amoeba has piloted this deck to 2 top 4 finishes in recent opens, but I haven't seen its representation much on ladder, and I haven't played it myself yet. It's been on my list of decks to play, but I keep forgetting it exists because it's such an unconventional deck. It's not one I've seen much.
Yeah, it's really good and really powerful, and like it can just surprise you out of nowhere. And I used to think that if this is the same style deck I'm thinking of, I used to think that it won just because no one expected what it was going to do. But it's been around so long now that, you know, everyone must know what it's going to do. So it must just be.
The opening line here, probably just going to be Battletoads, maybe even Commander if he wants to double collect off the right. And we do know there are the Colossus in this deck, so it is valuable to collect off his opponent as well. But it looks like it's going to split off, so both players move into their own sides here to apply pressure.
Yeah, going to do a little standoff here as we move into the mid game here. Turn 4 is coming up, and we have ChaeHolic can just drop another commander. Hopefully he draws something to buff it up soon. Drop a banquet, buff up a frog, start swapping the.
Does he go for commander this turn?
I think we'd want to next to your orb so that you can harvest or threaten the left well there from their war machine at least. I mean, sure, you put yourself at risk for a Cypher's Wrath or something like that, so maybe that's why he chose not.
And Garadan would have been a bit brutal, so I guess he's cautious of Garadan. He respects it.
Yeah, I think it's probably Garadan more than a Cypher's.
We're going to see a Brigand come down in the center just to shake up that frog. And maybe finish it off with a Ground Shaker on the follow-up. We do see the double neutral coming down. This does open up an aggressive mountain in the top left, right next to opponent's orb, giving that good axe grinder spot, but also opening up the Ground Shakers on the follow-up.
War machines are good, man. Even without the swallow, just the 4/4 charge too. I mean, people play Archons without buffing them up as well, and this is for the same reason. Just having a double harvester on the left side is just so great. And yeah, like you're saying, axe grinder follow-up is definitely a possibility. And we see, by the way, Leia comes down the bottom there to deal with the frog if it pushes forward.
So this is one of the good spots for Leia because it doesn't die to the frog. It demands something extra. And even if it does die, it puts down that taunt. So if he does go for a more aggressive line with the axe grinder on the follow-up, he could even go for like mountain to create the land so he could zip across and push 4 and then play a Ground Shaker behind it. So Leia just giving a bit more defense, making sure that he can race a little better.
Yeah,
okay.
Just sizing each other up. Okay, Cypher's Wrath drawn. So, okay. Man, if he had a second. So I guess he can Ground Shaker. I guess your question is this. Do you want to clear the frog with the animated banquet in it? Or do you want to clear the other frog and go for face? But then if you hit for face, you'd want to summon an axe grinder as well, which means you couldn't do both. You couldn't clear the frog with the war machine and make the axe grinder in the spot you wanted next to the enemy well to buff that up. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll just see the axe grinder in the top left. And as a follow-up to it, I'm not sure you need one unless you want to do, blow your Cypher's Wrath.
Yeah, you either go for the top left, like you said, get the axe grinder down, double collect, or you do what I think he's going to do now is go for the face, go for the 4, then play Brigand or Ground Shakers. They decide to go for the Ground Shaker in the end. So just applying the pressure, and like you said, this deck has kind of that explosive damage, and this is just an example of it. Now there's 9 damage represented to the orb next turn. We do know there is that command in hand, so it can slow things down, but still in position to push 5 if he doesn't build lands.
And this is where he can do the trick with the bloated toad. So, and yes, Garadan's available as well. So Garadan comes down first. Does he use the command to finish off the war machine? No, because he dropped it over. Okay, so here comes the banquet. And this is when he can put down the bloated toad. And like we were talking about earlier on stream, this bloated toad will swallow the banquet and cancel out its last.
Yep, takes a line. So he does create some insurance there. Second Ground Shaker is pretty strong in this position. He can create an aggressive lake or mountain, probably a mountain just to get that axe grinder spot, move into the collection on the top left, hit the Garadan, play another Ground Shaker, clear the Garadan, and then leave himself in a pretty good position to challenge his opponent on the next turn.
You're totally right. And how are you gonna break through this now without losing a lot of value? It's gonna be tough. I guess after the Garadan dies and the Toad survives. Yeah, because there's still an Emperor's Command that the opponent has. But you can't banquet. No, okay. Yeah, no, it's actually not so bad off than I was thinking, because the Toad is not going to be able to trade in the Ground Shaker, so you still have a path to face, and you have to choose: are you going to harvest, or are you going to try and block face on that mountain to stop damage so you don't actually lose the game?
I kind of feel that in this situation, ChaeHolic has to collect off the right, make a lake, and play Beirut in the center, and just hope that the 5 damage isn't relevant to lethal coming up. Because the one advantage Beirut will have in this matchup, he's miles away from Leia at least, so he's not going to be influenced by her anytime soon, unless it's like a grappling hook shows up, which could be a possibility. But he also starts to kill mountains. And now happyjo does benefit from lakes. He does run blue cards, but he greatly benefits from mountains being in that top left corner because of stuff like Axe Grinder, Ground Shaker, and the Brigand.
Yeah, and you don't need the mountains anymore as ChaeHolic. You've already dropped your Beirut, so Beirut there would actually make a land that you could use again to help block, and this banquet will be swallowed by the commander that was just put down. So both of these creatures have food in their belly.
I'm not sure about this line. It opens up to Firestorm. I know Firestorm's not played that much anymore, but it does open up Firestorm options. It doesn't put a durable threat down. I think Beirut as an 8/10 pretty much kills anything happyjo plays, and also has that 10 life. Has a durability in it. The way it can just start clearing stuff, and then you have a 4/3 and double collection on the next turn. I know he did push the Banquet in there, but it is vulnerable to stuff like Cypher's Wrath and Flame Burst, Recoing Copter if I had the position. This is a little awkward for happyjo, but I don't actually mind just killing the frog and then Recoing Coptering the Banquet away. I don't mind that, because the Archon, not the Archon, sorry, the Commander is still in kind of a weird position. It either dies to the Copter or it dies to the Ground Shaker. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, and this is all 3 banquets on the field, by the way. 2 of them are inside creatures, but he's played them all. I'm thinking of a world where this Beirut was played, and I like that world a lot better, especially with what's happening now. Like the 10, he couldn't have cleared through the 10 health of Beirut, happyjo. So you wouldn't have seen this mountain play. It would have all turned to lakes, a big beefy creature to defend for a couple turns. I really think that'll work out better here.
And killing the mountains over 2 turns just represented a lot of problems for happyjo. Just stopping those aggressive lines with the Brigands and the Ground Shakers and the Axe Grinders. But still not in a terrible situation. The Frog can still collect off the left well. Can double collect with the Banquet if he does want to build lands. Can use Humbling Vision's Emperor's Commands. They can have an influence. Humbling Vision on the Axe Grinder. Not that well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it takes it to a 2/2. Then you can command the Ground Shaker, clear that off as well. You have to deal with the Brigand, probably with the 4/3. And that means you might have to choose to use the Banquet to clear off the Axe Grinder, which is kind of not what you want to be doing with your Banquets.
Maybe you just have to run the 4/3 into the Axe Grinder, Emperor's Command the Ground Shaker, and then Humbling Vision on the Brigand and clearing the Brigand. I don't think we're in a world here where we can allow a 2/3 Brigand to start eating Banquets, because that's a lot of area to give away.
I think you're right. Yep. Here comes the command. Bye Ground the Humbling Vision will be used to clear the Ground Shaker, and 0/2 for the Brigand. Clear it off with the Banquet, and now the Banquet's going to eat themselves. Just one.
Oh, the wrong way round. You'd rather do the other way round so the layer doesn't kill it. So a little unfortunate there. I'm not sure what the resolution order is.
It's going to be turn order. Like that was 100% going to happen due to the way it goes by tile, left to right, top to bottom.
So like the Feria collection as well, with blue one and stuff. Right. Yep. So that was inevitable, unfortunately. But obviously, it would have been better the other way around, just because Leia wouldn't be able to influence them. So Leia just gets a nice clear on that Banquet. It does leave one up. It gets taunted up. But then I don't actually mind an aggressive mountain. so we can Rakoan Copter the animated banquet in between the wells. I don't mind that too much. It stops that double collection. But decides to go for this instead. Maybe just wants to apply pressure instead, get that damage in. Can get a Brigand down as well, and aggressive.
This is such a scrappy game, this matchup. Like, it's just been a constant battle to get into the ChaeHolic space, but he's still surviving really well. Still has. I wonder if this is the Beirut turn, and you could even have Beirut. Oh no, he's not going to.
This is why I wanted to see Rakoan Copter clear the double collector, because it just closes out the Beirut option. Now, we obviously have caster vision, so we have the luxury of spotting that, but it was definitely something I would have liked to have seen just to lock out this Beirut.
Yeah, you're going to lose some mountains here. He's got plenty to spare, but it's more about the positioning really is what matters. And of course, ChaeHolic getting a couple more lakes. Not to mention the giant beefy creature that's defending his orb. He is down to 7 now, though. And there is his double harvester gone. All 3 banquets have been destroyed.
Cypher's Wrath was a great pickup there because he didn't have to use a Rakoan Copter, and now he can develop the aggressive 4/4 on the left, which represents more problems. Because now ChaeHolic can clear the Axe Grinder. You can now... Well, this is actually works out because the Colossus is probably one of his better draws because he puts something down with a lot of life, and the Beirut changed that mountain into a lake. So it all worked out perfectly in the end.
Yeah, it gave him the ability to... Because like we said, the only reason he had those mountains was for Garradon earlier. It's gone. So get your lake back, and yeah, 7/7 for 4. That's a great creature to have defend you right now. Problem is, looking forward to the future, if he successfully defends here, how is he going to move forward to his opponent's orb and start actually winning the game? And it's going to be really tough for him to do that. Right now with Rakoan Copter, we're going to see a trade here for Beirut, I believe. No, he's just going to leave everything and save the Rakoan Copter for afterward.
Yeah, he's going to gear up for the Rakoan Copter next turn. So we could see like Emperor's Command or Humbling Visions come down. Rakoan Copter will at least kill one of them. And Beirut, its life has definitely helped ChaeHolic here, but the problem is it hasn't hit that mountain. And that has been super relevant because he's gained 2 Axe Grinders from that mountain from not playing the Beirut earlier. And the one problem ChaeHolic also has is inevitability. Eventually, happyjo's just going to draw Flame Burst, and he's going to win the game with those Flame Bursts.
That's right. So really, all he needs to do is 2 damage somehow to ChaeHolic's face, and that's just a win off the top of the...
So now, I guess the big question is, do you heal instead of trying to keep some board stability? There is option to +1. So you could kill the Axe Grinder with the Colossus, run into the 4/4 with the Beirut, leaving Beirut in the central position, and then playing the Commander where the Colossus is. Or you could do it this way. Works, I guess. I guess he values the Colossus a bit more. It's such a difficult position to be in because the Commander is just going to die to the Brigand unless he draws that 7 cost.
This is a juicy Rakoan Copter. Oh, there's a Cypher's Wrath.
So Rakoan Copter just gonna chew up these 2 blue creatures, set up lethal, potentially for the future, with that Cypher's Wrath in hand. Sunken Tower is not a card you want to draw in this situation.
That was pretty devastating, that Rakoan Copter. ChaeHolic is defenseless now. There's a Cypher's Wrath in hand, which means all that happyjo needs to do is kill something with that, and then Flame Burst is lethal. There is an Emperor's Command to heal, but if you're doing that, you're just delaying your loss, right? Because you're not going to get tempo back. You're not going to be able to trade on the board, so you have to put something down. The only thing he has is a Bloated Toad, which can be traded off, and then that gives your opponent a frog in return.
Bloated Toad, it's a tough one. It just dies to the Rakoan Copter. I guess you could put into double collection, but then the that just sets up lethal if you don't heal, because the Brigand will go into it, you Cypher's Wrath it, and then the Recon Copter hits for lethal. So if you put in double collection, you have to just cross your fingers and hope your opponent doesn't have removal options for the damage. So he needs to heal now anyway. If he doesn't heal,
Well, he could also
or if he
Sunken
push the
Tower.
Recon Copter away, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he had to do that, or he actually would have just lost the game.
Oh, wait.
To a Flame Burst, exactly. Now, it's not going to win him the game now, but having that in hand, basically... Oh, it does! No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's going to be at least another turn, but definitely makes you feel like you are going to win this game.
Wants to draw Battletoads. Can +1 Battletoads into Emperor's Command for a bit of stability, but definitely just denying the inevitable here. Doesn't go for it in the end, goes for the land placement instead. So that is going to be lethal with the Flame Burst, has Cypher's Wrath. And
Yeah,
boom.
A number of ways there to get the lethal. What a series. That was game 5. happyjo versus ChaeHolic, both Korean players. happyjo makes it into the semifinals, but that was a good series. 3-2, going the max amount of matches. Commiserations to ChaeHolic. He put up a great fight, but he got knocked out by a great player.
I was happy to see the blue-red Recohen deck finally, being piloted by a very skilled player. Scorch mentioned the patience to wait for the perfect copter, which had a massive payoff in the end, helping him close out that match. But that blue-red Recohen deck looks very solid. It's nice to see blue-red have an archetype that isn't control. They've kind of been locked into control for some time, using like Gemshell Tortoises and even recently Ice Rock Behemoths. But Recohens have given them that mid-range boost that they needed. Like you said, 4/4s with charge 2. They're just solid double collectors, and 4 attackers very relevant in a world of Battletoads and Triton Warriors and Triton Tacticians. But yeah, good games to both players. Well done to both of them. They played excellent.
Yep, it's a different world now, a different world for blue-red. And yeah, we're going to move on to the semifinals next. We're going to be, going on a short break as we wait for those matches